There are times in Earth's history when life itself almost stopped. Not from an asteroid, not from ice ages or plagues, but from something far more ancient: the Earth itself. Beneath our feet lie chambers of molten fire, reservoirs so vast, so violent, that when they erupt, they do not just destroy cities, they reset the planet. Scientists call them supervolcanoes. These are not the mountains we picture, gently smoking against the sky. They are scars so wide they look like valleys. They are calderas stretching for hundreds of kilometers. They do not erupt often. But when they do, the sky turns black, the air becomes poison, and the world itself trembles on the edge of extinction. And here's the truth that few people realize. They are still here. Still alive. Still waiting. The day Earth almost stopped breathing. Picture the Earth in chaos. A morning like any other. The horizon glowing with sunrise. Then, the ground shudders. It begins with a roar so deep it feels like the planet itself is screaming. The crust splits open. Fire erupts. A column of ash towers into the sky, reaching higher than any storm cloud, higher than any mountain. Within hours, the sun vanishes. What comes next is worse. Ash rains down like a suffocating snow. Rivers choke with debris. Forests ignite. Crops fail. Within weeks, the planet is covered in a shadow. The oceans turn acidic as volcanic gases mix with rain. Sulfur dioxide fills the atmosphere, reflecting sunlight back into space. Global temperatures plunge. This isn't speculation. We have the evidence. Supervolcanoes have erupted before, and they have nearly ended life as we know it. Unlike earthquakes or hurricanes, these are not local disasters. They are planetary events. Scientists call them climate-forcing events, because in one eruption, the entire balance of Earth's systems, weather, food chains, ecosystems, is rewritten. It has happened before. It will happen again. The day Earth almost stopped breathing is not just in the past. It is in our future. The forgotten killers beneath our feet. We tend to think of danger as external: asteroids from space, nuclear wars, rogue AI. But the real killers are already under us. Yellowstone in North America, Toba in Indonesia, Taupo in New Zealand, Campi Flegrei in Italy, Eira in Japan. Each of these is not a mountain. It is a collapsed caldera, an emptying of Earth's crust so massive that when it blew, the land caved in. Yellowstone's magma chamber alone is estimated to contain thousands of cubic kilometers of molten rock. The eruption 640,000 years ago blasted so much material into the atmosphere that ash fell as far as the Gulf of Mexico. Toba, 74,000 years ago, ejected over 2,800 cubic kilometers of ash, enough to bury the entire United States under a layer several meters thick. For scale, Mount St. Helens in 1980 released about 1 cubic kilometer. Just one. And yet it flattened forests, destroyed towns, and killed 57 people. Now multiply that by thousands. That's the scale of a supervolcano. And here's the chilling truth: these calderas look quiet. Tourists walk through Yellowstone, snapping photos of geysers, unaware they are standing on the exhaust of a giant. At Campi Flegrei, life goes on as normal, yet the ground is slowly rising, pushed upward by pressure building beneath. Geologists sometimes call them planetary reset buttons, because when they erupt, they do not simply damage, they erase. And most of humanity barely knows they exist. Ash, fire, and the Great Dying. The greatest extinction in Earth's history, the Permian-Triassic extinction, 252 million years ago, was triggered not by an asteroid, but by volcanism. The Siberian traps. For nearly 1 million years, lava oozed across Siberia in sheets hundreds of meters thick. Carbon dioxide, methane, and sulfur belched into the atmosphere. Oceans acidified. the ozone layer thinned. The climate swung wildly between extreme heat and suffocating cold. 90% of marine species died. 75% of life on land vanished. It was the closest Earth has ever come to total annihilation. Fast forward, Toba, 74,000 years ago. Its eruption was so immense that some scientists argue it caused a volcanic winter lasting decades. Ash covered much of Asia. Temperatures dropped. Crops and wild plants failed. The evidence shows a genetic bottleneck in human DNA around this time, suggesting our population may have collapsed to as few as 3,000 to 10,000 individuals. Humanity, reduced to a scattered remnant. We survived by chance. Every supervolcano is a reminder of this. Our species does not rule this planet. We are tolerated by it. And when the Earth decides to breathe fire, nothing stands in its way. The buried evidence scientists fear. Geology is a record of violence. Layer after layer of rock shows us the scars of cataclysms. Thick deposits of volcanic ash stretching across continents. Sudden collapses in fossil populations. Ice cores that reveal decades of missing sunlight. When scientists drill into Greenland's ice, they find trapped bubbles of air from ancient eruptions. They show massive spikes in sulfur. They show centuries where sunlight dimmed and temperatures plummeted. These are not theories. They are measurements. And yet, the full implications are rarely spoken aloud. Because if we accept that Earth has wiped the slate clean before, almost completely, it means we are not the pinnacle of survival. We are the lucky accident. It also means our timelines, our history, may not be as safe as we think. What if civilizations have risen before, only to be erased by fire and ash? What if the stories of endless winters, burning skies, and great floods in ancient records are not mythology, but memory? The evidence lies buried. But every drill core, every fossil bed, whispers the same warning. Earth resets itself. And it does not warn us first. When the sky turned black. The aftermath is worse than the eruption itself. Imagine the sun disappearing. Not for days. Not for weeks. But for years. Sulfur aerosols filled the stratosphere, scattering sunlight back into space. Global average temperatures dropped by 10 to 20 degrees Celsius. Crops fail across entire continents. Even a small eruption can do this. In 1815, Mount Tamborai in Indonesia erupted, only 1/10 the size of a true supervolcano. It triggered the year without a summer. Snow fell in June in New England. Famine spread across Europe. Crops rotted in the fields. Millions died of starvation and disease. Now imagine an eruption 50 times larger. Entire harvests lost for decades. Ecosystems collapsing. Global trade ending. This is not just a geological event. It is a biological one. The food chains we depend on would unravel. The animals we rely on would vanish. Humanity would face not just famine, but collapse. Civilizations would vanish before they were even remembered. The sky turning black is not a metaphor. It is the truest warning Earth has ever written. The next awakening. This isn't ancient history. This is happening now. Yellowstone's magma chamber is still hot. Campi Fledrii has shown signs of unrest, with ground uplift and swarms of earthquakes. Taupo erupted just 1,800 years ago in an event so large it was recorded in Chinese chronicles as a mysterious red sky. Scientists monitor these systems constantly. GPS trackers measure the ground rising and falling. Satellites detect tiny changes in temperature. Instruments record gas leaking from fumaroles. But the truth? We cannot predict them. Even the most advanced monitoring can only give warnings when pressure is already extreme, days or weeks before an eruption. NASA has quietly admitted that supervolcanoes may be a greater existential threat than asteroid impacts. Because asteroids can be tracked. Supervolcanoes cannot. If one were to erupt tomorrow, our globalized civilization would unravel within months. And here's the unnerving fact: eruptions are not evenly spaced. There is no fixed schedule. The cycle is unpredictable. They are overdue. Or perhaps right on time. Earth's final reset? So what happens if one erupts today? First, an explosion louder than anything in human history. A plume rising into the stratosphere. Ashfall blanketing entire nations. Then famine. Global temperatures drop. Crops fail across Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Supply chains collapse. The fragile systems that feed billions shatter. Within months, global trade ends. Starvation spreads. Governments collapse. Wars break out over food and water. And within years, billions are gone. The planet itself would recover, eventually. But recovery would take tens of thousands of years. Civilization, however, may never recover. The knowledge we take for granted, electricity, medicine, space travel, depends on networks too fragile to survive collapse. It is not just a disaster. It is a reset. The Earth has done it before. And if it does it again, humanity may not survive to tell the story. A warning written in ash. Everywhere, the warnings are already there. Ash layers in rock. Ice cores that whisper of endless winters. Fossils that end suddenly, without explanation. Supervolcanoes are not gone. They are part of Earth's living system. A system that has no regard for us. We live between eruptions, not beyond them. The only question is when. And when that day comes, when the sky turns black again, will we be prepared? Or will we be erased, like the billions of lives lost before us? The Earth is patient. It waits. It has reset before. It will reset again. And when it does, we may discover that humanity was never permanent, only temporary. Look around you. The skyscrapers, the lights, the endless hum of civilization. All of it rests on a fragile crust. And beneath that crust waits fire. One day, Earth will breathe again. And when it does, everything we know may vanish. Maybe that is why the universe feels so empty. Because no matter how advanced a species becomes, when their world resets, they disappear.